Hi, my name is Talha Parkar and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I will be taking you through two tools specifically, or in fact rather three tools, which is Google AI Studio, ChatGPT and Claude. Now I've already covered a bunch of videos on these tools for different use cases, but today I'm going to be doing something very different. If you follow a few channels on YouTube, right, that are covering the latest developments in the generative AI landscape, whenever a new model comes in, these channels, a variety of them, try to put out different use cases for each of the tools, right? What is the model best at? So I'm going to be showing you how to create web-based applications that run locally on your system. As of now, no hosting, no database at the backend, just creating a web-based application. And I'll also be showing you how to integrate AI, generative AI, in those applications using OpenAI's API key, because that is the one that I have. You could use any other API key as well. You just have to prompt that you would want that key in the model, right? I'm using Google AI Studio, which is a tool by Google, where you can use the latest models from Gemini. So all you have to do is you can just Google AI Studio or Google Studio and go to the first link. So aistudio.google.com. And when you open the link, you just have to log in using your Gmail account, and that's it, right? No additional setup required. Just sign into Google AI Studio, and you can do a lot of different stuff on this tool. Now, I'm not going to be covering all the features in the tool. I'm going to be covering one specific use case. On the right here, you can decide which model you want to work with, right? This is the latest one, which is 2.5 Pro, which is relatively new. There are a few older models as well, and you can try to use those models as well, right? I'm going to be using Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview, right, which is this one, and I think this is the latest one, but I'll be sticking to this one right now. Right? I can then close this panel. There are additional settings here. I don't want to get into those right now, so I'll just close this panel from here, and we'll start prompting. So there's a specific keyword that you can use to create these web pages. Now, generally, a web page is integrated with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code, JS. The HTML is essentially used for the content, the body, and the headings. CSS is used for styling, and JavaScript is used for any functions, interactivity, all of those. Right? Now, I don't come from a programming background, and I'm assuming if you're watching this video, neither do you. Right? So again, we'll not be going into explaining the code, just how to build function applications using prompting. Let's start with a very simple example. I'm going to start by writing my first prompt. Use create HTML, CSS, and JS in a single file. Shift enter to break into different lines, or here just enter would also work. Build a simple application that allows a user to upload a CSV file and then displays data from the CSV file with a few basic filters. The user should be able to apply the filters and also then download the filter data in a CSV format. Right? I'm going to write something else as well. So when you don't specify what kind of web application you want in terms of the style, the complexity, it will try to build something on its own, which I don't want to do right now. I would rather have it build something functional and something simple. So I'll say that keep the code as simplistic and the design, I misspelled simplistic, that's okay. The design as minimal as possible. Focus on building the functionality I asked. Okay, and I'm going to press Control Enter to run. And you generally have to wait for some time for it to generate the code for you, because it does take time, right? So you have to be a little more patient. Just give me a second. Yeah, perfect. So you just have to be a little more patient. First, what the model does here, it has this thinking option which basically when you expand, it allows you to see what the model is thinking before it responds to you, how the model is understanding your query, what assumptions it is making, what approach it is taking. So let me just walk you through this. So you've already seen my prompt, right? And I'm going to look at this now. So here's a breakdown of the thought process to create the CSV filter and download application. Understand the core requirements. So the user wants to upload a CSV file, display the CSV data in the table, provide basic filters such as text search per column. Now I have not specified this. When I said basic filters, it had to understand to assume something, right? A filter could mean a lot of different things, right? So we have to ensure that we categorically specify. So the more, I'll also show you how you can refine the prompt and all. So apply filters, download the filter data, keep it simple, HTML, CSS, JS in one file, minimal design, focus on functionality. Do you see that? Because I specified those things in my prompt, it was then able to integrate this in that thought process as well. Then it's understanding what structure it needs, what attributes will it need to create the HTML structure. Then the styling fit CSS. CSS basically stands for cascading style sheets, if I'm not wrong. CSS full form, yeah, cascading style sheets. There you go, right? And then there's the JavaScript, which is for the logic, for any events, clicking, downloading, uploading, reading the data, parsing the CSV file. All of those can be done using the JavaScript functionality, right? And yeah, I think that's about it without going into a lot of detail. Then it is understanding what all functions will it need to do, how the filter will work, how the download will work, how the upload will work. It is doing all of that. So I'm not going to get into all those details because I don't have a very detailed understanding as well. As a user, if you're able to get familiarity with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, not as a hardcore programmer, but if you understand the foundations, then this process of what I'm showing you will help you build a lot more ideas, will help you build much more, fantastic projects. So it then tells me this is the output now. Okay, so everything here is collapsed essentially. It does not expand automatically. So it's all collapsed, and here is the output. So just a second, let me close this for now. Okay, I think it's still loading, that's why it is, yeah. So just a second, I think there's some issue here. It is not loading correctly. I don't want to clear cache. Yeah, there we go. So it's still loading, right? It's generated the code. So it took 60 seconds to generate this code, right? As you can see here. And I can always give a thumbs up to ensure that whether the response is good or not. So let me show you what it generated first for me. So first it told me that okay, here is a single HTML file containing the HTML structure, CSS styling, and JavaScript logic for the CSV uploader, filter, and downloader application. It uses vanilla JavaScript, basic HTML, and minimal CSS as requested. Then I have the entire code. Okay, we'll not go into the code for now. You can do that later. Then it tells me how it works as well. This is very important. You need to read this as well. So it sets up the file. It includes the div, which is status, filter, table container, because the table has to be displayed. So I need to create a container for the table. Then how the CSS styling works, how the JavaScript logic works. So it is explaining everything to you. So as a user, now it is your responsibility to go into the details. Just downloading and trying to run the application is not the correct approach. You always have to test, understand what is happening, and then move ahead with it. So I say, it tells me how I can use this. I can save the HTML file. I can open the file in the browser, click on the choose file button, select a simple CSV file. The data should appear in the table and filter inputs will be generated. Type into the filter box to narrow down the data. Click on the download filtered CSV button to save currently displayed data. Fantastic. I can now just come here and click on this download button, which is nothing but the entire code downloaded as an HTML file. Let me put this in my downloads and let me put this in a separate folder. Right, let me just create a separate folder for this. So web applications with Gen AI, and let me call this like a CSV parser, which is nothing but showing data that is there in the CSV. I'm going to double click, open this. It opens in a web browser. You could open this in Edge, Chrome, any other browser as well. It asks me to choose the file, so I click on choose file, and I will choose a simple CSV file that I have, which is, let's say, bank churn data, right? 10,000 records, and I think 7 to 8 rows. Then it will process the file. So it tells me that it has successfully loaded 10,000 rows, which is great. Now I did not specify what columns I had, right? So I told that it should parse the CSV file, which it has done fantastically. So it is now giving me, for each of the column, it has created filters. I could filter by balance, tenure. Again, here it is giving me a simple text-based filter, right? So if I write 3, so do you see it only filters for tenure, which is 3. If I say filter by age, which is, let's say, Now see, greater than 33 would not work here, because again I do not specify the complexity or the application of the filter. Do I want to, if I am applying a number filter, do I want a filter that will be greater than, less than, between two values? In case of text filter, I have not specified all those things. That is why it has assumed something and built it for me, because I only specified a basic filter, right? Again, you could build all those things by categorically specifying. Now when I say tenure 3 and let's say is active member 1, so then it shows me data only for those employees whose tenure is 3 years and they're an active member. In fact, I'll also filter for something else. Number of products is 3, and now you can see the data has become very small, right? Because I have filtered the data. I can now click on download filtered CSV. I will now come to downloads, come to my folder which I have created for the purpose of this video, and I will save this CSV file. You could also save it as an Excel, that would also work. Again, whatever you want, just be more explicit, explain to the code, and you will have the output. There you go. Exact data downloaded directly right in front of you, filtered. Now, one might say, okay, why would I want to do this? The idea here is not to tell you that, oh, this is a very good application, but to show you the use case of how you can do this. I'm going to show you step by step how you can increase the complexity as well, right? And if I show you my original table, so that you can just compare that, my columns are exactly the same, nothing is missed out. So I'll show you my original bank churn data which I had uploaded. I'm going to open this and I'm going to copy all the column headings here. I'm going to put them right here. As you can see, the column headings that I just pasted are exactly the same as the one from the filtered data. Perfect. Everything works perfectly so far, right? I'm going to close this. I don't want to save this right now. I'm going to close my bank churn file as well. I'm going to come back to my browser and I'm going to say this is great. I'm not going to focus on improving the filter for now. You could do that later. Everything works as instructed. It is always important to thank the model as well, acknowledge that the output was correct, give it time to respond, and then state your next requirement. Everything works perfectly. So I'm going to say send, and it should then give me a response. That's excellent, glad to hear. It was designed to be simple and functional as requested, focusing on the core task of uploading, filtering, and downloading CSV data. If you have any more questions, need further modification, or want to explore adding more advanced features down the line, feel free to ask. Happy coding. Perfect. Now I'm going to say I have an OpenAI API key. I want a simple chatbot at the bottom of the page. This chatbot should answer queries from my data. Use the API and include prompts focused on data analysis. I'm going to press send. I'm going to explain in a second what is happening here. So I have an OpenAI API key right here. Okay, so I'll copy and paste that. And what I'm essentially doing is in this tool now, okay, so we'll get a new HTML file. So this file, it won't update in the same file. It'll give us a new HTML file. So it can also give you the chunk of code that you can add directly, but I like to generate a new file just for simplicity for the video purpose. So it says that, so do you see right now the table structure is different, and I can scroll in the entire page as well. So typically the chatbot will come somewhere at the bottom here. I should have an option to put my API key. I have not specified that, so I'll just see if it adds that option, if it gives me in the UI. So let me just see that. The example requires you to paste your OpenAI directly in the browser interface. This is not secure for public application. Your API key will be visible in the browser's memory and potentially network requests. That's okay. Because I'm running this on my local system, I am not worried about that. API costs, I have some credit, so I can use them, and this task is not very heavy in terms of the compute, so I don't think I'll be utilizing a lot of tokens, right? This is a basic implementation, doesn't maintain long conversation context beyond the immediate query and the provided data sample, which is great. So which means that the chatbot will only answer to me in context of the data that I have uploaded, nothing outside of it. So I can't ask it, okay, what's the capital of India? It won't respond Delhi, because it is not going to be using its entire knowledge base. The knowledge base is going to be, and it is going to respond, it will obviously be relying on its knowledge base, but it will respond in the context of my data itself, right? So it is now going to create that entire code for me. It'll write the entire HTML code from scratch, right? and we'll just have to wait for the code to generate. It has generated the code, which was very quick. Again, it says save the code as an HTML, upload your CSV file, the table and filters will appear. Go to chat with your data section at the bottom. Carefully paste your OpenAI API key. Remember the security warning, which is nothing but that you should not put your API key on public applications, someone else can use it, stuff like that. Click the set key button. If the key is valid, the status message will update and the chat log and input box will appear. Type your questions about the data currently displayed in the table into the chatbot. How many rows are in the sample? What are the unique values in the category column? Summarize the sales column. Are there any entries for city equal to Paris? Click send and press enter. The chatbot will show thinking and then display the response based on the headers and the first 10 rows of the filtered data it received. That's perfect. I'm going to download my second version, which is CSV parser with OpenAI API. And this was my first tool, if you remember. I'm going to open my second tool as well, and I'm going to upload my file. Right now you will see that the table view is not loaded. Once I upload my file, it processes the file, then I think it will load the table view right at the center, so it will automatically expand the web page, which is great. So it is loading. It has 10,000 rows, so it might take some time, right? As you can see, it has uploaded the filters. Again, I could add a button to collapse the filter panel. All of that can be done. See, remember, it's a web page, so let me just show you something, right? So I just googled cool websites. Okay, I just want to show something to you, right? Okay, let's do this. Okay, so this is a website for experimentation and toys, right? Now here what you can do is you could choose a color, and I'm not sure what the website is supposed to do. Let me just read very quickly. I just want to demonstrate something. Just stick with me for a second. Is that it allows you to draw your very own nebula. There's this black canvas to simulate space. To draw the cosmos on it, the website offers you a bunch of different colors, namely red, green, blue. You can further tweak the intensity of these colors, their spawn settings and more. If you're someone who loves to paint or play around with colors, this is for you. Okay, so I'm gonna choose a color. How do I do it? One second. Okay, do you see? I'm able to draw like a nebula in space. I choose a color and I can draw, and you can see like the blue color coming in, right? And if I choose tweak, so there are certain aspects. I can increase the red, I can increase the green, I can reduce the blue or increase the blue. I could take green here. Now this is a very cool website, right? Now the code behind this obviously is very complex. Now I just stumbled upon this right now in front of you. My idea of showing this is web page can be built and do anything that you want, right? Any customization that you want, so there are these buttons here, right? You could have all of these as well, and it's absolutely beautiful. That is the advantage of using AI to generate complete HTML files. Let's try to use our API key. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to put my API key here as it asks. So I'm going to quickly copy my API key, right? Okay, and I'm going to paste it here. So it automatically hides it, which is great. I can click on set key. So it says API key is set for the session. So ask me questions about the currently filtered data shown in the above table. So what answers can you derive for me from the data? I can press send, and then it says thinking, and I don't know why it is saying thinking twice. Something to do with the prompt maybe. Yeah, maybe a tweak might be required in the prompt that is there in the backend code. So based on the provided data sample, I can provide the following insights. There are 10 rows in the data in the sample. The dataset includes information about customer ID, the age of customer ranges, etc. Okay, can you provide some insights? Now I'm not sure if it is meant or customized to provide insights. This will depend on what prompt is there on the backend data, right? So it says it can give me simple answers. Here are some insights. The dataset includes information about bank customers. The dataset contains both male and female customers. The credit score of the customer ranges from 480 to 850. The age of the customers ranges from 26 to 58. The balance of customer ranges from this range to this range. Some customers have exited the bank. So let's try a simple calculation. What is the average age of male customers? Okay, and we'll validate this as well. I made an error in the spelling, but it says the average age of the male customer is 41.8. Let's quickly validate that. So double click, come back. Do remember these responses are AI generated, which is it is relying on the GPT model to give you response. So you'll always have to double check and validate. But if your prompting is very good in the model, right? Let's come to age and let's see. 1 second. So you can see the average age is 38.65. So again, the result is not absolutely correct for male customers, right? But yeah, I'm pretty sure that is what it is. Let me just double check using formula. So subtotal, and I want to do an average, and I want to do it on the age column, right? And okay, so it shows 38 as the overall average, and if I change that to, let's say, male, it stays 38.65. So I think that response is wrong, right? So I think the response is incorrect, and let's see what it responds to us. I see that you provided a data sample with headers and the first 10 rows of the dataset. However, you did not specify the question or the response you believe to be incorrect. Please provide more context or clarify. Okay, now here I don't have an edit functionality, so the average age you provided for male customers is incorrect. So do remember that it specified on Google AI Studio as well that the model right now will not remember the previous chats, right? So although it is visible here, when I said I think the response is incorrect, it did not remember what response I was referring to, right? So it did not remember the previous response it generated. Again, do you see? So again, this requires a bit more fine tuning, but again, I'm here to show you use cases and to quickly show you how you can access the code as well. What you essentially need to do is you can drag. So I use a tool called Notepad++, which is very cool for taking notes and looking at a lot of code. I can drag and drop my CSV file and my entire HTML code is right here with me, right? I'm just going to take you to the section which has the API key. So all of this is the styling and the layout, right? This is the CSV filtering. Right? These are the containers where the filter container and the table containers are to be displayed. Then yeah, right here, the chatbot section. So there's an API key section. This is the message that I get. There's a chat interface, right? And ask about the filter data. These are all prompts, right? These are just text labels that it is showing me. And let's come down. Let's come to the section where we can look at the prompt, the API key, right here. I think this is so this handles the API key, which is I can put my API key set, it turns to green, and the chat becomes invalid, the chat becomes just enabled, and we can just a second. So it has put a lot of error handlers as well, which is okay. Okay, let me just, I don't think it has put categorical instructions, which is absolutely not correct. So I'm going to come back to Google AI Studio, right? So I'm going to ask, have you put categorical instructions somewhere in the code as prompts for the API? And let's see what it responds to us. Right, just hold on for a second. Send query to OpenAI. Okay, I think I might have missed it. Let me Control F that right here. I can't find that right here. Okay. Let me just choose or search for role. Okay, right here. Okay. So it says that array to store chat message, role user, assistant, content. Let me just try to search. Yeah, right here. So this is here a helpful data analyst assistant. Analyze the following CSV data sample provided by the user. The data includes headers in the first few rows of the currently filtered data set. Answer questions based only on the provided data sample. If the answer requires looking beyond the sample, state that the sample is limited. Be concise. Data context follows. Which means nothing but that the CSV file is then supplied. So the role is user. Here is the data sample, and then it then tells. So this is the prompt, right? Now, if I want a more refined answer, this is what I have to change, right? Do you see this? This is the message that goes to the API that this is the prompt that is supposed to be input. So this is the prompt that will have to be changed, right? So it says that this is what the prompt is, and if I say can you give me a more detailed and refined prompt that allows me to generate insights as well, and actionables and strategies, or just this is okay, just these two are okay, right? So okay, it is giving me some modification here which I can use. So when I specify that, so I have to be very categorical. When asked a general question, try to provide a summary including count. So this is not included in my current code. It doesn't list specific analysis types to prioritize or suggest. Now when you do it on ChatGPT, you're using the entire model together. But with API, you have to be very specific and you have to specify all those details in the code, right? So then it tells me that I can use this kind of, so now it makes it more detailed. Now this becomes the entire prompt, okay? You see, this is the role, this is the task that you have to use. Analyze the provided CSV data sample, headers and first rows of a few potential data set. You will receive the column headers, a small number of data rows, likely the first 10 or fewer from the currently filtered data set. Okay, I think it's taking the first few rows, which I am not sure if I want that. So if I look at, let's say male, and if I look at the first 10 rows, no, I can still the average is not correct yet. That's okay. Your analysis insights suggest must be based strictly and solely on the limited data sample provided. Never extrapolate or assume trends apply to full or unseen dataset. Acknowledge limitation. Explicitly state in your response that your findings are based only on the provided sample. Use phrases like based on the provided sample within this limited data. So do you see all of this has to be coded into the model, right? All of this has to be put into the model. Now I'll not go ahead and put this. You could just simply replace whatever part it has asked you to replace in the code, which is nothing but this function, const message, and you can try to do it. I'll now show you a different example. I hope you got a sense of this example, and now I'll do this on a different tool now. Okay, I want to do this on GPT-4o, and I want to use 4o Mini High, which is mostly for advanced tasks and reasoning, and I think coding as well. Yeah, for coding and visual reasoning. Okay, so I've shown you one example, and I hope you got a sense of how you can utilize that data. Now let's build something else. Use HTML, CSS, and JS in a single file. I will upload a CSV, look at the data, and create a 16 by 9 dashboard. I want 3 versions of the dashboard that can be toggled using a drop down. The versions can be based on which function head the data is being presented to. Do I now one might say that okay, there's no AI as such here, this is writing the code. How will it know that every time there's a new file or if you upload some other file? So here I'm going to categorically ask it, right? I have a few questions before you work on the code. So whatever questions you have, whatever doubts you have to ask them, right? You have to use this as a thought partner, as an analytics partner, as your buddy, and so now it is asking me questions. So it says that could you share describe the column headers and data types in your CSV, which is going to be my question, which is do I need to tell you what data types I have, or can you automatically generate that, right? Now I'm going to ask it that do I need to explicitly tell you what data I will be uploading? Okay, so it'll then give me a response. Now here I'm not using AI in my output, do remember that, and without that it's difficult for the code to do that. Once I can read its header and sample values directly. That's it. It really helps if you flag which fields you care most about, which is okay, but it can auto detect as well, right? I would like you to build on your own. Give me the complete code. Right? It's going to build the complete code now for me. Right? So this might take some time because you're using O4 Mini High, which is more for coding and visual reasoning. So the model will take time to respond. Right? So now here also you have a thinking, right, which you have in Gemini 2.5 as well. So user wants to build code based. Okay, I can look at the thoughts once. Right? Complete code based on the earlier discussion. They haven't uploaded the CSV yet, so I'll design the code to expect a generic CSV file. The functionality would need to dynamically adapt to the fields, detecting columns, and generating three versions of dashboard. I'm guessing I need to design three versions for finance, sales, and HR. But the user hasn't provided specifics about the three heads yet. I'll go with a flexible template that handles various fields. The user wants a complete code, so I'll design a flexible dashboard. I'll assume three views: finance, sales, HR, with generic KPIs and charts. For finance, I'll include revenue, budget, profit over time, expense breakdown. Sales will have units sold, etc. Right? Now, I'm pretty sure it might not give us the correct result because I have not uploaded or told it what data I'm going to be using. Right? So it is now generating the entire data. So this will let me upload my CSV file. It'll use papa parse, which is nothing but a method of parsing or getting data from the CSV. Use chart.js to render a 16:9 dashboard and provide three views toggled by a dropdown. Let's try to see if it works. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll specify our code. Right? We'll give it our code, and then we'll see what to do with it. So click the file picker, read it, and emits. Once parse the view dropdown is enabled, each view has 4 slots. So finance, sales, revenue, and the dashboard is 16:9. So it can change the fields map to the top of the script to match your CSV's exact column names. Add remove charts by editing build finance, build sales, and build HR functions. Tweak colors fonts via the chart.js configuration or CSS. Now I'm going to copy this code. I am going to come back to Notepad++, come to a new Notepad, go to File, Save As, and I'm going to save this using a .html extension. That is very important. So you will say that this is HTML file, and I'm going to call this CSV to dashboard. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is not going to work, but let's try. Close this. I don't need this as well. I can close this as well. I can come back to my view. I can go to my downloads, and I can then open the web application with GenAI. I can open CSV to dashboard, and I'll try to upload my data. As I choose file, and in fact, let me upload the filter data, which is nothing but 10-15 rows that I had got, right? Because if it works on a smaller data set, it will work on a larger data set as well. So I'm going to upload the filter data which I had downloaded from the earlier example. Okay, now see, it doesn't work because it expects these columns, which is revenue, sales, etc. It's not a beautiful dashboard, right? It's not absolutely great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it my column headings. That makes more sense, right? So I'm going to come back and say that these are my column headings. The dashboard needs to have at least 6 charts across 2 rows and 3 columns. I want you to keep the dashboard design sleek yet elegant. I'm going to press enter, and now that I've given it the columns, it knows what data I'm working with, so it will exactly integrate these columns in the code. It will write the calculations, write the data, write the the logics according to this. If I was using an OpenAI API key, then I could have uploaded any file and then use the API to ascertain, okay, what data do I have, what charts can I create, and then render those charts in my output. I could have done that, but I don't want to go into the API approach. I've shown you one example. I hope that gave you an understanding. Right? I've specified what layout I want. It is generating the code for me. Right? So I am going to come back to Notepad. I'm going to bring in my file, which is CSV to dashboard. I'm going to update this file, so I can put the code here. I can delete all the existing code, and once the new code is generated, I can simply copy this code and paste it in the same file location. I can click on Ctrl S to save, close this, come back to my folder. I can open CSV to dashboard, and I'll try to upload my filter data now. It still shows me finance, sales, HR, which is okay. Maybe it assumes that with this data I'll be able to build that. And now, do you see this? Okay, I've uploaded very small data set, but you can see it works. It's not changing as per the view, which I ideally would have been great. Let me upload the full data so that we can see much more analysis. So I can come here, click on bank churn, right? And maybe I'll have to refresh. I could add like clear filter, refresh buttons in the page itself, but let's just do it this way for now. So then it shows you a tooltip. It is uploading all the data. Again, there are no colors and all because I've asked for a simplistic design, right? I'm going to come to ChatGPT and say, that whatever I asked you, combine everything into a mega prompt. Combine my requests, rather, not everything. So whatever I have requested ChatGPT, what it will do is it will give me a combined prompt, and then I'll use this prompt, and then I'll show you a third tool, which is Claude. So this is my entire mega prompt that I want to generate a single standalone HTML file with embedded CSS and JavaScript that implements a 16:9 dashboard, so on and so forth. This is the data. These are the heads of your choice. So it will automatically decide what is to be done, and layout, charting, etc. I will now copy this code and put it into Claude. Let's copy the prompt and let's put it in a different tool now. So I'm going to copy the entire thing and I'll come to a different tool. Let's say come to Claude now, and hopefully Claude should also be able to do this for you. The only thing with Claude is that the only advantage that you have, which you have in ChatGPT as well, which is here a canvas on the right hand side panel that allows you to see your output right there. So I'm going to put in my entire prompt. I'm going to press send. I'm using Claude 3.7 Sonnet, right? And hopefully we should be able to see our output. In fact, I'll do this in Google AI Studio as well so that you can compare the type of outputs that we get. I'll put this right here as well so that we can look at the output over there as well. And so in Claude you have this panel. This panel is called Artifact, where you can see the output, the code, and then the output as well. So I'll just demonstrate that to you here as well, right? So it's building the entire dashboard. Remember, we have given our data. Again, here it is thinking, and now that my code has more clarity, not my code, my prompt has more clarity, has more context, has more details, and is more specific. It allows for me to generate a very high quality output that ideally should work perfectly fine, right? So let's wait for this to get completed, right? While this is loading, I would like to quickly show you something that I built very recently. So yeah, there we go, org chart. I close this, and this is an org chart that I built, right? Which is something that looks like this. It's not completely functional, like the export to PNG does not work. It exports to PNG, but it's not absolutely perfect right now. There's a template option here where you can download the template, put your data in the same columns, and upload it again. I have a filter section here that allows me to add more information in the nodes. So each of these information that you see, and there's a tooltip that is available in Hover, but you can click on tenure, and then if I just show you, so you can see tenure here as well, right? If I click on date of joining, and I can see date of joining here as well, right? So, and I can search for a specific person as well, so it filters down to that person. So right now it does not filter it, it basically highlights it, which is not what I want. I'm working on improving this, but yeah, this is basically it. And this entire thing is did not take a lot of prompts. Like, this was maybe 1 or 2 prompts. Here the code is the data is pre-fed into the code, so you don't have to upload necessarily when I just want to demonstrate it to a client. But yeah, essentially to make it more functional, I have put a template feature here as well, right? And there's the obviously dark mode, light mode feature here. So yeah, just an example of what all you could build, right? You can look at the complexity here, you can look at the nodes, you can look at the amount of data that I'm showing here. Again, like I said, it's not perfect. It would require a few more iterations. I would like to ideally fit it in a single view. The export to PNG button should work in a way that if I filter for a specific division, let's say I choose for human resources, right? So you see it highlights human resources. It does not highlight anything else, but it highlights human resources this way. Should only filter human resources, like the image should only be of human resources, so that then we're able to put that into the final output. I'm going to be doing more videos where I build stuff like this from scratch, right, and show you my entire workflow. But for now, let's check out Claude, and I would like to continue. So Claude, there's always, it hits a limit, so it stops generating the code, and then I say continues, it continues building the code. And I hope it is not building this from scratch. Right. Until then, let's see the Google AI Studio output. I think this is done. So we'll just so it took 81 seconds. We'll just wait for this to load, and I'll download the HTML, which is the dashboard with my bank churn data. So we'll have to upload exactly that file with the exact same column headings, in order for us to ensure that we are able to generate a dashboard. Again, here I have not specified into what kind of dashboard I want. I could always go ahead, come online, right? I could go to, let's say, could search for bank churn dashboards. I'm not sure if I'll find something very specific, but yeah, we can come to images, and I can look at a lot of images here, right? Whatever I like, I can take that, I can give those as samples so that it is able to better understand, better process my request, right? So it is always beneficial to give in more samples in order for you to generate a high quality output. You don't have to necessarily give a dashboard, you could always give a wireframe as well. So if I say finance dashboard wireframe, I should be able to see a dashboard wireframe as well, right? So even if I was able to put in something that looks like this, right, as a sample, right? So it'll learn from this and it'll create something like this as well. So you could always provide samples, because more than text, a visual prompt along with the text, not just text, but the visual prompt also helps you generate a good quality output, because then the model is able to process your information correctly. So CSV to bank churn, or CSV to dashboard version 2 v2, there we go. And I'm going to open this, and we have it right here in the window. I upload my CSV file, and I choose bank churn data, and it is loading and passing the data, and it is creating the visual. Now I don't know why it is unnecessarily doing this, which it should not have done. So there's something wrong in the code, which is okay. It's like an infinite scroll that is happening, which ideally should not have been there, but that's okay. If I change that to risk, does that work? Yeah, it works. So maybe something in the code that is, something in the JavaScript code that allows us to keep on scrolling, because the scroll I'm pretty sure is controlled by the JavaScript. So you can always come and ask, right? Everything works perfectly fine. I could always come and ask here that, let's say, everything works perfectly fine. Why is an infinite scroll happening? Give me one line answer. A lot of times it will give you very detailed answers which you might not need. So I like to just specify the type of output I want. So it's going to give me a one line answer, and I should hopefully have the answer right in my code. Let's look at the output that Claude has generated. It's still generating, right? I'm not sure it will be able to generate the entire thing on my free version, but let's see. And it has hit its limit again. So I'll try it one more time. I'll press continue, and okay, I don't think I will do it because I have the free version available right now, but that's okay. I will just upload my bank churn data, and we'll see what output we're able to get, right? Because the entire code is not generated, it might, I don't know if the CSV parsing and all of that is built into the code as of now, but if it's not, then you'll not be able to get the output. I have a paid version, but it's on a different account, so I don't want to move to there, but you get the idea, right? I'm here to more of help you understand the process. Then you as a user have to decide what you would want to build in a day-to-day functionality, right? And the scroll likely appears in the chart grid container because its content slightly exceeds the calculated height within the fixed 16 line and dashboard area. So what you have, like I said, it's not perfect, but these are minor tweaks that you will have to fix. And like I said, these have to be done in the sense that you have to spend time, a lot of iteration goes into it to generate the final output, right? So all of these can be fixed. I'm not going to spend time fixing it because it's going to extend the length of the video, but just to show you, this is what we've built so far. These are a few applications. And now as a user, I've also shown you API integration as well. As a user now, if you want to understand what additional stuff could you build, you always come to GPT. Okay, I'm not going to do this on 4.0 mini high. I'll do this, let's say, on 4.0 itself. That is sufficient. I am building a lot of web applications by prompting. The output is a single HTML file with CSS and JS embedded. I have built a few solutions in HR within the HR function. Think broadly and list down a few ideas for each function. Right? Again, you could specify or ask it to adopt a role. That could also work. But yeah, So it'll give you a few applications. So you could create a leave management tracker, employee feedback folder, interview scheduling assistant, internal job posting board, skill matrix viewer, pulse surveys, 2-3 question mini surveys to collect frequent employee sentiment, sales leaderboard, deal tracker, client meeting scheduler, sales battle cards, pricing calculator, content calendar, campaign ROI. Again, all of this is very interesting. You could build this as a MVP. Maybe you're someone who is not from a tech background, but you could design something like this, share it with the IT team, and they could then work on the actual functionality. You don't have to develop something that is absolutely, detailed, but yeah. And it also suggests that, if you're writing a prompt, ask for one-page responsive HTML with embedded tailwinds and vanilla JS for clean output. So, like I said, you could write HTML, CSS, JS. Then it says, you could write tailwind CSS and vanilla CSS, which I am sure are elements part of the particular language. And you could also ask it for what other tips do you suggest that I could include in my prompts. Suggest 3 crucial things that I can't miss in my prompts. Again, is this something out of the ordinary? No. People can build it, but then it's more about how much time and effort you want to go into it. We're building these kind of projects for clients, but you can always go ahead and try to do it on your own. I had just covered this for a bunch of students in one of the courses that I'm covering just today, right, in the morning, during a 3-hour workshop. So you could also decide to build these for fun, for your projects, for your portfolio. But again, like I said, you'll have to always go into a lot of detail if you want more complexity, because if you don't understand the code, that becomes difficult to query, write the prompt, generate, test, iterate, and do all of that. So to avoid all of that, you could always ask ChatGPT to generate the response for you, generate the prompt for you, etc. Right? You could also ask it to build different units, and then you could integrate them together. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope you got a sense of how you can write prompts to generate web applications. I showed you how you can refine prompts as well. I just close my files, we don't need them. Also, I use Google AI Studio because, as you can see, the context window is quite large. There are 10 lakh tokens here. This is both the input and output token. So you don't get this limit like you just saw on Claude. The limit was hit, and even if I try to regenerate, because I have the free version in that desktop app, it was not able to generate it for me. So this is the advantage with Claude. Like, you can have a very large conversation. You could do a lot of back and forth. And just to show you what my org chart prompt looked like earlier, right? So this is a self-contained org chart, which is the one that I showed you. I'll show you how many attempts it took for me to generate the output. Also, if you don't have the OpenAI API key, you don't want to spend that minimum $5 amount, you could always get a Gemini API key, right? You can use, but do remember to specify Gemini 1.5 Flash, because on the free version of the API, that is what you can call. You can't call 2.5 or 2 through the API on the free version if you don't have any extra credits. And for a sample project, this should be sufficient. Or if you're a group of students, you could always, pool together, a small amount, and 1,000 rupees, $5, and whatever the amount is, and you could get a few credits and try to build these. So my initial prompt was, I'm just going to close the settings pane right now. My initial prompt was this. As you can see, it is fairly detailed. I had spent a lot of time documenting the prompt. I'll also show you on ChatGPT how much input I had to give to the model for it to generate such a detailed prompt for me. Then obviously the first version is never perfect, as you know. Then I remember giving it a few more. There has to be a better way of doing this. There's no collapse button for the panel, so this is the option that you have. Right? You could delete it, you could copy, etc. But I don't want to delete it right now. I want to keep it because I like to document all of this as well. So there were a few errors. So if you can see, it was trying to make the same error again. So yeah, here it was using D3 org chart. So D3.js is basically for data visualization. It's a bespoke library, which is pretty standard in. But it was not able to do it for me in my version. So I asked it to take a different approach. So then it used CSS based, styling to create that final look that you seen or you saw in the org chart. And just to show you the kind of inputs I gave to ChatGPT for it to generate a very high quality prompt for me was, let me just walk you through that. So yeah, org chart prompt builder, and there you go right here. So I specified all this information, then I specified a lot of other information as well, then I specified a bit more information, and then my final prompt was ready. Right? This again, was this prompt perfect? Sure. I tried to do as much as I could, but even then there was a lot of few misses and all. So you always have to ensure that you ask GPT what are the information I need to include for this task in my prompt, this is what I exactly want. You have to be very categorical, very specific, and you should be able to generate high quality web applications. Right now, remember they're learning locally on my system. I could always set up the backend, set up a database at the backend, and create a completely functional application. But I'll cover that in some other video, some other day. Thank you for watching so far.